Dean Legge and Dylan Webber wrapping up. Here we are for the last time.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've done this a lot.
Yeah, it's been a long few days.
Not as long as the Rose Bowl last year, I don't think, but in the same ballpark. Head coaches this morning, Tom Herman and Kirby Smart, a little bro fest during some of that. And they get to play football tomorrow. It's still a little ways away from the actual game, but Texas will be a significant underdog, anywhere from 12 to 13-point underdog. A lot of the discussion after a full 24 hours of the college football playoff is trickling in about Georgia not being in. That becomes a very big narrative. But today Kirby talked about how the only thing anybody will remember is the finish of this team. So I think they have plenty to play for, Georgia.
Well, yeah, and we talked a little bit about it today. That has been the topic. It's like, yeah, people have been saying, yeah, Georgia should have been in and stuff. But now they have to go out there and prove it. It's got to come full circle. They can't just say all this after that one game. You have to go out there and show it again.
Well, and Texas is going to have to stop Georgia. See, that's the part that I think could be challenging for them. I mean, we're talking about a team that struggled against Oklahoma State, Maryland. I mean, there's no shame in losing to Oklahoma, I don't think. And I can't recall their other loss.
Two times Oklahoma State.
They beat Oklahoma once.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, sorry.
It was not a power, but whoever it was, I can't recall off the top of my head. But
West Virginia.
Yeah, so no real shame there either. But this Georgia team has lost two big physical squads. Can Texas stop them when they need to? Can they stop the run game? There's a lot of questions. For Georgia, it's you lose DeAndre Baker, and other than that, basically everything seems to be the way that it should be. Before you spit something out, I do want to say you'd like to see Rodrigo make a field goal pretty quick in this game.
Yeah, I think. I mean, what game was it after? Was it Tech? He just didn't. I mean, that game he didn't really seem like his full self. SEC championship game, you'd like him to just get one quick field goal in, and just kind of get that confidence back to where it was post Rose Bowl, really.
Yeah, so for a whole year. And then the other thing, too, there's a lot of things we still don't yet know the answer to. I mean, sure does look like Justin Fields is going to leave, but we don't know that yet. Who is the defensive coordinator, or who are the defensive coordinators at Georgia? There are many questions that are yet to be answered, probably none of which will be answered after midnight on the 1st. Georgia has something to prove. I think that's very serious, because we don't know what will happen with Alabama and Clemson. But if you're a 12-point favorite, the likelihood that you should win by a significant margin is high.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what the percentage-wise of that, how many.
Very high.
Yeah, I mean, when you're favored by 12 points, I want to say probably like 80%, 90%.
Well, it would be north of 80%. I mean, anything over 4 is significant in its way. Anything over 7 is significant in its way. Anything past 10 becomes, that's a legitimate upset. I mean, this is something like, and this is going to sound insulting to Texas, and it should not be taken that way. This is similar to the Kentucky game that Georgia was going into, except Kentucky was not a 12-point dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you just look at the line. Yeah, it's comparable.
The other thing is, too, a lot of discussion today about the wide receivers at Texas. Obviously, Georgia has – I don't know, the kids talk about it, or Kirby talks about it, because we ask the questions. Mm-hmm. They don't just come up with what they want to say. I mean, Kirby does sometimes. But Texas is going to have to do something other than just throw the ball. If they're going to play Missouri football against Georgia, they're going to lose.
Yeah, they will, and so they do have to run the ball, and that's where the question is, can they do that? Alabama struggled to do that at first, and if Alabama's struggling to do it, then you would imagine Texas would too.
Well, now Jordan Davis may or may not play in this game,
and that's huge. That is huge, because I mean, just roll back to pre-Jordan Davis days. That was a huge gap right there. They were rolling Rochester in there most of the time, and he's just not the gap-filling, big-bodied guy that they need like Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Lil Jordan Davis. What is the guy, Lil Jordan Humphrey?
Lil Jordan Humphrey, yeah, LJ.
Yeah. We gotta work on some of the nicknames at Georgia.
That's his name.
You know what? You're right. Yeah. Which is another conversation for another time. I don't really know. I'm kind of running out of things to say. I thought it was very good that Kirby recognized Mark Richt's career and him retiring, Ben Watson as well. But I think we're about asked out of questions here at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't this morning with the head coaches. It seemed like it was just kind of dry. I think everything's run its course. Everything's got answered for the most part. Besides, once again, is Justin Fields transferring and who the defensive coordinator is. Those have not been answered and probably won't be answered anytime soon.
The other one last thing here too, though, we see there's not been a lot of people who've had the ability to win a Rose Bowl and a Sugar Bowl in back-to-back seasons, and you're seeing guys like Lincoln Riley, Tom Herman, Kirby Smart. They're younger than certainly Nick Saban. They're younger than Dabo by almost a decade. So this is the new generation of coaches, and this is a huge game for Texas in a way that it's not for Georgia. If Texas can win this game, it would be a big upset, but it would jumpstart their program, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest bowl game they've played in since the national championship game. Yeah. I mean, it would just say, and if it was to beat Georgia, a team that just won the Rose Bowl last year, won the SEC championship, competed for a national title, almost made it back to the playoffs, that would be huge for that Texas program because it would be validation that they are moving forward and going somewhere. It
would be a bigger win than over Notre Dame or I mean, winning against the SEC for these Big 12 schools really does matter, I think, a lot. Okay, well, we're going to have to get a few naps before this game because it is kicking off late. I mean, the television starts at 8:45. They might not kick until 8:52. We're going to be here for a while.
What do you say? What's the over-under on time we get out of there?
We get out of there 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe, local.
I'm going to say it's later than that. I bet we leave at like 2:30.
We'll have everything you need at DawgPost, DAWGPOST.com. Go click on the link below, and we'll see you at the Superdome.